Hey, what's up, everybody? I am your host, Aseer the Dugateers. This is Super Heru Radio. You are here with us. We are here with you. Peace to you guys. Thank you for coming through again. More says peace. Thank God he's about to go to bed. Thank God. And thank you guys for coming through once again. Also here are my co-hosts. I mean, they've been here for 10,000 years. My brother, Saad, who always joins us when he can. And I appreciate you guys always holding us up. When I say holding us up, I don't mean like taking up our time. I mean literally holding us up as opposed to holding us down. You know what I mean? Starting to see that there's a lot of down vibration in our society. Well, not our society, but in Western society right now. A lot of records, a lot of things urging you to go low. You know, go to the floor. You know, bring it back up. You know, all of this extra like physical exertion. You know what I mean? For no gratification other than the ego. Like that type of shit is dead to me. So definitely want to build on that. Also, those people who may have lost loved ones in the past week and a half, anybody going through heavy family drama right now, we definitely want to send you some love and light and tell you peace. And inshallah, your situation will become more and more clear as you allow yourself to become a little bit more detached from it to get somewhat a bird's eye view. But sometimes we be too, especially we as black people, our melanin makes us so hyper-reactive. Sometimes we'll just be way too emotionally involved in what other people think, and these people not contributing nothing to nobody, especially you. Queen had to ask her sister that today. Like, why do you give a damn about somebody who's only give a damn about some people who are throwing you under the bus? Like, why do you need their approval so much? And this is what I mean. Like, we've been kind of putting off this position growing up here in this country where it's like we just got to kind of keep our head down and take the bass out of our voice and stoop down if we're a little too tall, and try to, wear lifts if we're too high, and if we're too light, you know what I mean, make ourselves a little darker. If we're too dark, make ourselves a little light. It's just never enough, you know. It's like living in Western society as a black man, a black woman is almost like you being a size, like you being a size 8 and trying to squeeze your foot into a size 7.5. Like, it could fit a little bit, but the more you walk, it's really going to mess you up in the long run. That's kind of like an allegory to me of life in this country. Whereas life on the planet right now is kind of like trying to run at full speed through a wind tunnel, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's going to be hard. You could do it, but it's really going to be an uphill battle. And that's really what physical life is really about, because this is the only place where physical beings struggle like that, in case you didn't know. You know what I mean? This is one of the only places where physical existence can exist the way that it exists here. Therefore, this is a place where all the stops get called out, where everybody kind of come around and kind of get the last hoorah on before they got to go back to the main source, you know what I'm saying? Well, I haven't thought about main source in a long time. Big ups the main source, large professor, Sir Scratch. So, as we always do, we start from the beginning, you know what I mean, or what we would consider the material, and we bring it up to the celestial. So, on the material plane, you know what I mean, one thing to look out for is the new apps or Google sites that's coming along with Google. Google is becoming more and more open that it is a security search engine, basically, for the NSA. They're actually becoming more vocal with that and not as evasive when that comes up in discussion. And so one of the things they're doing is creating or testing what they call network nets, which, again, a network net is basically a way for them to, in a sense, turn your TV not only into a listening device, but into a live camera with live feed based upon the HD that they was requiring everybody to get in their TVs maybe 2-3 summers ago. And So because the HD thing is a two-way system, two-way binary system, and like I said, because now Bill Gates and a couple of these other people have been indicted or are under specific scrutiny due to the international community and the ramifications that China is starting to discover due to a lot of the back doors and hidden search engines that they're applying, again, in Google and everything else. See, that's the problem with U.S. corporations, is that all U.S. corporations are potentially United States drones, basically. So the same way they'll have a drone fly over your house to see what you're doing or whatever, is the same way they basically want to turn the TV and the internet and everything into that. Now, we already know they've been doing that and, of course, whatever, but this thing is a little bit more serious because they actually have a timetable now that they're putting out. If you go to the Microsoft website, they have a timetable when they're trying to implement the new Windows, which is basically, like I said, connected to the NSA. And because the NSA is the number one user of all electricity in the country, they're the number one. All electricity, they use the most out of all of the intelligence agencies, out of all of the people in the country, like regular people. The NSA has the highest bill. So their bill is so high that it can never be paid. So what they do is they basically rattle it off to you. This is why the billing cycles with certain electrical companies, FPL or whatever electrical companies that provide you with services like that. This is why their billing cycle is like a month or 2 months in advance. So the minute you pay a bill, you get another bill in the mail saying that you owe X amount of this month. So it's like they basically just send out final disconnection letters and all of that as a standard practice now. So a lot of people, what this has done is it made a lot of people pay off they electrical bills and debts like that. But what it's done is that it's thrown these companies into surplus because essentially that's fraud. They're basically co-opting you to pay something that you've already basically paid for. So they were getting in trouble with the Security Exchange Commission behind that, and they wound up having to pay these exorbitant amount of fines. So one way they felt to deal with that, this is when the NSA comes in and says, okay, well, we'll pay the fines down for you guys if you guys will basically be the front company for us to do our electrical business, and then you could pass the buck on to the consumer. You understand? Because basically this is all for national security anyway, right? And so this is what happens. And so your bill winds up being the most affected and the highest because of the fact that you're basically paying for the excess amount of electricity that these niggas use. So, like everything else, this is why your bill is so high, and because, again, you're paying for somebody else's mess. Now, everybody in the country can be bailed out except the actual people. You understand? The people cannot be bailed out because the people are the ones who are being used as the collateral for the debt that can never be paid. Therefore, the people have to be the ones that, in a sense, are the ones footing the bill for everything. But they have the least to say when it comes to where and how that money is being spent. And this is okay to most people in Western society because people feel like this is how the country is supposed to work. But this is not how the country is supposed to work. This is just how it's been working thus far. You know what I mean? So when we look at the roots of where this came from and again, how we get into this, we get into the paradigm that, again, existed in this, that we tend to focus on a lot. It's like sometimes when I read it and think about, like, history of, like, what we were, like indigenous history, things like that, I almost have more vivid imagery of that history, the post-1492 imagery and history, than I do of aspects of my own childhood now. It's weird. It's like the more I do the knowledge to this knowledge and the more I do the knowledge to where our position truly is and what we are destined to re-inherit and reclaim, stuff like that, the more I think about, places like Grenada and these places back in the days, as well as ancient America, the Moroccan civilization and all of that, I really feel like the memories that I have of that are real. You know what I'm saying? sometimes, again, more real to me than the ones that I've had that I know that I've had in terms of, like, childhood memories and stuff like that. So it's ill as you get older that your ancient history almost is more valid to you or real to you than the history that you basically lived in this lifetime. That's how I also know that we're going through this metamorphosis, because a lot of other people, I'm sure, feel the same way, but maybe have not articulated it to such a degree as I have at this point. However, again, just like that, your family nowadays is that you are making for yourself, more so than the one that you're born into. You understand? And it's not wrong to look at stuff like that. It's not. You're not being a good son or good daughter if you're not allowing certain people in the family to get away with certain bullshit. You're actually helping them. Somebody has to be an example of who or what is not going to stand for. And there used to be certain bygone conclusions in our community that don't really exist no more, that seem to have disappeared the more it seemed like we started making money. You know what I'm saying? So these are some of the things that we got to do the knowledge to in order for us to kind of pay attention. So because of this, like I said, gas prices is definitely still going to go up. They may actually create what they call a force du jour. I don't really see that happening until they figure out what they're going to do with this Syria situation. So as we talked about on Monday's show, we were dealing with, that whole scam with the invisible children thing. It's so much of a scam, this thing, that they just put on the TV the other day how they got a bunch of Ugandan people to get together and look at the documentary for the first time. And these niggas was looking at it like they never even knew that any of that was happening in their country. So again, how can that be? How can it be this person, Coney, is killing over 125,000 people, but the actual president of Uganda has killed, or under his watch, over 7 million people have been killed? You know what I'm saying? But ain't nobody talking about that. Let's also talk about Eritrea attacking Ethiopia 3 days ago. Now, to me, this is another veiled allegorical thing going back to World War II, when Mussolini was using captured Africans, calling them Moors, and sending them back into Ethiopia and Uganda to kidnap black Africans and bring them to Europe as slaves. Now, that was going on too, right? But either way, Eritrea was always used by the Italians to split up the Ethiopian people. So I don't think it's a coincidence right now that they're using all of these different sorties basically to create this world war that they want to perpetuate seemingly to start in Africa. Now, with the Hollywood exchange with the Africans and all the stuff that goes down with that, they've created another reality in which you have a huge class of disenfranchised people that just keep wandering and wandering and wandering through the African coast, the African heartland. A lot of those people are being targeted by AFRICOM and are being thrown into racial or even slavery situations by the same governments that's allegedly trying to do that, because these people are not necessarily declared with a nationality due to the fact that they've been dispossessed out of their homes. Therefore, they fall under the constant humanitarian aid scam that is used by the Europeans to basically, the Anglo establishment to basically come in and turn these African countries into nature and wildlife preserves. That they'll eventually do things like have what they call the most dangerous game safari, where they actually get humans, they actually get people, and throw them in a preserve like they do a Predator, and even in the book. you read the book, The Most Dangerous Game, or The World's Most Dangerous Game, you'll see. Even Ice-T played a black man in the movie version called Surviving the Game. Dread, actually, he played in the movie, where these white people was hunting him. Another thing they got going around now, the new racist inside joke with the president is they creating these bumper stickers that say "Don't renege" in 2012. You know what I'm saying? So, of course, renege, for those people that don't get the irony, they're basically saying renege means to give back or be like an Indian dipper, but the fact that they emphasize the word nig, like nigger, don't re-elect this nigger, basically, is what they think. But, again, because profiling in this country has become such that nobody can actually stand up for somebody else's oppressed unless it's like everybody else can have their grievances addressed. But black people just are always taught to just get over it. You know what I mean? Don't focus on the past so much. So all of this is redoubling the efforts of the trine thing we got going on, which again is Venus and Jupiter being so close together. I believe they're at 3 degrees. I believe they're at 3 degrees right now. But we're also dealing with a heavy situation because we're astrologically going through this whole Mercury retrograde, Mars retrograde. You know what I'm saying? Simultaneously. And then it's a huge trine on top of that. Because we got Lilith on one side, conjuncting Jupiter on the upper, in one corner. You know what I'm saying? And then because of this now, you got to look at the influence. Lilith, and then Mars is in Zosma, and then the other one is in Skeet, right? See? This is exactly where it was 3 years ago when we was talking on the show. They just wasn't this close. So you have this Grand Trine thing, and then all of that is coming at the end of Pegasus, right? Betelgeuse, excuse me. And it's all in the cuts with Betelgeuse. So what this means in layman's terms is that you have a lot of things coming to a head, a lot of people being put in positions to be confronted with what it is that they have created for themselves. Either they're the victim in their life or the savior in their life right now. You got a lot of people from the past who may have initiated things in the past that may have not turned out too well, coming back now to try to karmically link up and rehash what happened. Just a now time for us all to stay grounded. This is also a time to look out for little quick sudden accidents. You know what I'm saying? Like little things popping off, like whether you're driving or anything, dealing with traveling, at least between now until I would say the 15th of April, because that's when Mercury comes out of retrograde, which is funny because that's tax day. So of course they're not going to want it retrograde. They want everything open, clear when they start bringing the money through. So definitely look out for that. Also look out for people trying to trap you in different what they would refer to as get-rich-quick schemes. Definitely look out for that. Also, Mercury retrograde is not the best for creating new contracts, you know what I mean, and new obligations with people. However, it's very good for correcting those situations and creating more of a positive exchange in true expectations of whatever is supposed to be done.
Only do that with people. You can only do that with people that are showing signs of being able to communicate, meaning that if you express something that someone doesn't agree with, they're able to say, okay, well, why don't you agree with that? For example, I had a great brother that, made an order, placed an order, and his order in PayPal got lost. So when we communicated, he was just really clear about what it is he did, and I was very clear about what it is I saw on my end. Regardless of who or what, I was wrong because PayPal gave me incorrect information. So it was really good for me to be like, look, brother, I'm sorry, I was totally wrong. I do see that a payment was sent, and you're totally right. You getting your stuff, and I'm going to send you a bonus. And to be able to, take an L at times where things aren't going as smoothly as you may want them to. I said way more than I needed to, but I was trying to give an example of being able to let things pass, and if people are in a disagreement with you, to be able to hear them from where they're coming from and come to a middle ground. And that's just really grown. But, age does not equate to wisdom, and age does not equate to people being able to make sound decisions. So, even if you're dealing with people in their mid-30s, that sometimes almost retards people. And, they can resort back to, like, teenage-type decisions. So it's just to be really clear about when you know someone can't hear you, to almost, figure out a way to stop communicating the way you're used to and figure out a totally different direction. And sometimes that causes for you, the person, to do something completely opposite, like, not be reactionary or not say anything when someone makes a point that you may not agree on. Just let them make the point and be like, okay, that's true, but, this is how I feel, and regardless of who or what. So here goes this year.
Yep, it's pretty much what she said. You know what I mean? It's how you're going to practice more active listening and less institutionalized communication. You know what I mean? Like, instead of texting people right now, it might be better to write letters. You know what I mean? Instead of emailing people right now, it's better to maybe set up a meeting and then speak to them personally. Like, the influx of artificial communication has altered almost maybe forever how human beings communicate with one another. So if you think about it, we're always having third-party conversations because we're always speaking to each other through devices like this. The phone, blog talk, some sort of fiber optic device. Fiber optics, again, if you think about it, is radio waves and communication being beamed through sand in the form of glass. So glass reflects light, but it also distorts at the same time because all light is distorted at one point from when you see it. Even when you look in the mirror, it takes a certain amount of time for that reflection to appear as soon as you come into view. Therefore, even though it's in a so quick of a split second, blink of an eye, it still doesn't equate that if you slowed everything down prior to you walking in front of the mirror to see the image, there would be nothing there. Therefore, everything comes into view as the light is being brought down and harnessed, i.e. distorted, to be put forth in the form of the image. Because, again, who you look like right now is not necessarily who you really are or who you really, really look like. This is just what you look like here at this present moment on Earth in the holographic projection that you have decided that better represents you. Yet your original pristine form and pristine state is still not apparent to you or I yet. To get us closer to recognizing it when we see it is the reason why we building on all of this stuff. In the old paradigm, it would be easy for you to manifest whatever it is you wanted to manifest just due to the fact that you have an understanding of the fact that you always exist and have always existed. But the disconnect from the natural world has created in us a switch that comes on and off depending on what we have to input or extract out of this society. This is why certain white folk may not know, or people who consider themselves white may not understand certain nuances that we as melanated people, the darker people of the world, have come to just accept as life in what we refer to as Western civilization. Example, when some of us have to get the job or whatever, you know what I mean, there's a certain underlying thing in us that feels that in somehow or another we have to conform. So when we go to the job application or the job screening or whatever, we go in from the perspective of what do we have to do to get the job. Other people go into the job interview as, when I get the job, what am I going to have to do? You see what I'm saying? So then what happens is, to give the illusion of some sort of equality, they create something referred to as affirmative action, which allows people who were disenfranchised purposely to now be purposefully put in position over people who may be more qualified than them, but due to the fact that they know that they owe darker people things culturally, they make certain exceptions. This also has an upside effect for them in the fact that it creates resentment, not against the system that's doing this, but to the people who, again, are benefiting from the system, mainly original people. But the same thing exists with us being original people, just living in this society as it presents itself to us every day. But yet, all of us are striving to reach some sort of financial pinnacle, you understand, that allows us to do what we really want to do, regardless of how spiritual we are, regardless of how spiritual we aren't. We all know that incense costs money, goat's milk costs money, statuettes cost money, beads cost money. You understand what I'm saying? Silver, brass, these things that we need to accentuate ourselves, adorn ourselves, make us feel more whole, put us back in a cultural reference visually. These things require a means to an end. So whether we like it or not, we still have to, in some way, or we are still in some way participating with the same, again, interface system that is, we know, is exploiting us. Yet each one of us dictates that level of exploitation. And this is made available to us because control is automatically assumed by this very so-called electoral process that puts these people in position to do nothing for the same people who allegedly voted them in. But that, again, is evidence that then the voting thing does not work. Because the way a system works on one end is different than how it will work in the other. Everything in that form then is mirrored. You know what I'm saying? And that mirror is what creates the illusion that things are actually progressing. So the art of twinning, which is the form of dissociating one and creating a altered version of oneself, in which that version, the deficient version, is given the primary authority in the host consciousness. This again becomes varied and becomes an obstacle in the so-called art of mind control, because at any given point, the subject who they are trying to exploit and put these horrendous things on can come into being that they understand that they are being manipulated and therefore break the programming. So in all things, like I said, in the manner of twinning, when it comes to twinning things like, let's say, people, that's one thing. But when you start twinning a country, you do it by going in and altering the statutes. And they did this in the form of turning a republic into the artificial. Like, so you have in the republic, in the old dominion of the several states in the 48 states that represented the 13 zone and 48 state indigenous empire or republic, there was the General United States for America in General Congress assembled for the family or in the family of nations. The mirror to that would be the administrative government of the United States or the presidency of the United States of America. See? Different. Statute-wise, you could go on forever, but if you look at the Republican form of government, you would look at Article 4, Section 4, or Article 5 of the U.S. Code, 1501, page 1. Whereas in the federal government, you would go to 28 USCS 3002, 5 USC 1501. So the Republican form, again, exists already in the records, but that is not the aspect of government that this artifice follows. This follows the federalized system. You understand? So under a federalized system, you have executive orders, whereas under a original Republican system, you would have enactments. Under a original system, you would have, for those people who were not necessarily blood or genetically related to the Republic, they would have a classification, national or denizen. Whereas in the federal system, you have just alien, right? Or resident alien, or non-resident alien. In the Republican form of system, you have the qualified voter or the elector. In the mirrored federal republic, you would have simply the registered voter. So you go from a law of nations, a family of nations, to a United Nations. You go to the Congress of the United States, to the United States Congress. You go to the General Constitution in the three branches that was, again, left over from the original Iroquoian system of the Continental Congress, to a federal administration with three departments, all subtly put forth through things like you have, let's say, a natural-born citizen with us, and then you have a 14th Amendment citizen with them. You have the Senate of the United States, and then in them you have the United States Senate, which, again, is not mentioned in the Constitution at all. Their Constitution, I mean. This is the problem with us as original people dealing with them and bringing up aspects of their articles other than the basic preamble to 7th article to the supremacy or the supremacy clause of their actual Constitution. That's really the only aspect you could maybe touch on. Really, nobody should be talking. We shouldn't be talking. If we ever fall into their system like that, shouldn't really be talking about their law really at all. It's really about what we are, because if we're not a part of them, then we can't really be talking about what their law is doing for us. You can only use it as a binding mechanism to show what it says they should be doing for you. But of that, it can only really rest on, like I said, the preamble to the 7th article, and then other than that, the supremacy clause that says that it's supposed to uphold any agreement that existed prior to it coming into existence. Therefore, that means all of the treaties and stuff that existed that we had prior to them adopting their form of adjudication. So, historically speaking, when you go back to why, let's say, Iran is being targeted specifically in the situation it's in, and why it's such a hotbed for everything else. And really, this is stuff that deals with the British East India Company and the closing of the war, the Opium War, in which the British East India Company basically strung out most of the Chinese population on opium, as well as a lot of the ghettos in London. And during that whole drugging process, that Neptunian process, they began to supplant different members of their intelligence agencies that were founded under a guy named John Dee, who was the astrologer for Queen Elizabeth, who was the original 007. And he created occult protocols that became a part of the British intelligence corps. And they decided, based on studying the Roman system, that they needed to find a way to take what they had learned from the loss of the colonies in America to greater expand their control by allying themselves with the dissatisfied. So as our empire on a whole was starting to fracture, those beys or padishahs that was in control began to become overlords, let's say, over the people. And so, like any system, they become more material, the more militaristic they become. And so a lot of these systems began to be targeted. One of the systems that was targeted by some of the Moors of, let's say, the African line was Sufism. Because the Madhubut Sufis, the original Sufis of the Sufic order, who descended from the Gaudamant and the Carthaginian and the Phoenician and the Libyan and all of that, they got all of that blood in them. Plus, the descendants of those Phoenician high priests that left and eventually left pre-dynastic Yemen and settled along the Niger River and became what we now today call the Dogon. So these bloodline people eventually all kind of meshed in to the what they referred to as the heresy, which was the Sufic understanding of the dualistic nature of Allah, or Allah and Allah, right? The feminine and the masculine, and the, let's say, Kabbalistic nature of those things coming together. So due to Sunni Islam's dominance, in which, because you had a lot of Arab, quote-unquote, Arabic people now being risen up under the caliphship of the harems that a lot of these darker Moors had and were producing sons of, and then these sons were now becoming, let's say, the phenotype of the people that were starting to being, that we would now one day refer to as Arab. So, because prior to that, everybody was kind of like dark skin, real dark Armenians or what they call Persian. So, around this time, Sufism begins to be labeled a heresy the same way the Kafar Albigensian Huguenot thing was seen as a heresy by the Catholic Church in Europe or Europe at the time. So this led to Sufism being, splitting into two aspects, one of the light, one of the dark. The darker aspect became known as the Hashemite or the Hashishim, or the assassins. The guy you see in the video game Assassin's Creed, all of these are those Moors that was dealing with all of that magic and all that stuff on the dark tip. So they would be like the Sith in Star Wars. And then you had those of the light that was more like the Matabutic order of the Rose that went into Europe and eventually became the Rosicrucians, stuff like that. So all of these things led, by the time the 1820s come around, Britain decides that what it's going to do to maintain power and to help foster the end of the Moorish side of things, so that way they could start to deal with the Turkish side of things, they decided to foster those princes or princesses or dukes or whoever who were being passed over for rulership and arming them to then go fight for their own people. And then once they take over, the British now become the lead garrison or protectorate of this black man's empire, when eventually they wind up tightening the yoke slowly around them. So this became the practice of the British Empire, and the way into Islam was them getting into Sufism. And so through the Sufism, the people who were designated to deal with that were the Scottish Rite of the British branch of, at the time, MI5. You can read the book Secret Agent 666, and I forget who wrote it, but you can get the book. That book, you can get a book called Practical Magic by Franz Bourdon. Talks about this time, because all of this is also culminating in the redesignation and reclassification of us as a historical people. So what begins to happen is that the French begin to commission painters, or what they call Orientalist painters, to go into the old Moorish Empire and paint still pictures or oils of life of the last, let's say, remnants of it. But those pictures were meant, again, to be away from the rest of us. You understand? Because the rest of us were being detached away from that due to, again, the splintering of us and the support, again, of this black man over this black man. And then once the colonialists get in, they just shut everything down. You know what I'm saying? They build up the trading post, they build up the fort, and then that's a wrap. Then everything becomes part of the corporate attitude. So through Sufism, the Scottish Rite Freemasons were able to get in and help the Arabs depose the old man of the West, a.k.a. the last waning Turkish Empire. And from that point, they used people like T.E. Lawrence and Winston Churchill and a couple other people to help turn Egypt into a somewhat dependent protectorate of the crown. Not Britain, but the crown. So from that point on, the rites of Scottish Rite Freemasonry began to get housed in the joining of the European section, or G7 Lodge, with the Grand Lodge of Egypt in Luxor. And then these two grand bodies then create a Muslim Brotherhood. And this Muslim Brotherhood is then accentuated through and kept through devout Muslims who also happen to be Masons, who also happen to, pass signs and stuff like that, who are carrying over the relationship between that was created between these two Moorish blood types from 750 A.D. under Salah ad-Din, peace be upon him, who took Jerusalem, but also during that 150 years in which the quote-unquote Crusaders ruled Jerusalem, that whole relationship between the Moor, the Turk, the white Freemason slash Templar, and the quote-unquote Arab was just being brought together, because up until then, the only cosmopolitan city that the white Caucasoid Freemasons had seen was Grenada. So once they get to the quote-unquote Holy Land and they see all these different types of things, they don't know what's going on. The first Templars that got there, the people who they called Templars, who were white, quote-unquote Christians, who were fighting for their own freedom under Moorish barons and lords, they get off the boat and they see some Coptic Christians worshiping Christ, and they're going to kill them because they think that they Muslims, you know what I mean? And then on starts the whole barbarity for the next 250 years, which then led to another 450 years, which then led to another, let's say, 500 years, which then led to another 250 years of where we are right now. Of this relationship between Christianity and Islam, because each religion was created to take out the last one, because that's the hierarchy of the demiurge. Each one moves up and then reduces the other one under it. So it's the Phoenician stuff, then that goes down, then the Hebrew stuff, then that comes in, goes down, then the Christian stuff, then that goes in, that goes down, then the Islam stuff, then that goes in, that goes down. You see what I'm saying? Now they want to take the Satan stuff and have that go in and put everything down. But in between all of those rungs of different religions, which again represent different entity mind patterns of non-human intelligence that creates in human intelligence a dependency and creates an image of it in that human dependency and in that human brain that creates a reality for it to exist in, which then people call devotion or belief. This is not getting into whether or not religion is real. I'm not getting into that, whether religion is real or people wasting their time. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the A plus B plus C of it on a certain level to get to the greater understanding of how this pseudo-manipulation of ideology is being used to stunt the overall growth of our species mankind to a point of excess that it jumpstarts in us what's supposed to have already happened, which has already happened, but it's happening on such a subatomic, microscopic, subtle level that unless you're tuned into yourself, you may mistake it for something else going on. So in between all of those different so-called religions are sub-things, sub-orders, sub-lodges, sub-cults, sub-covens that are, again, needed or used by the quote-unquote, let's say, Anglo-establishment to perpetuate, let's say, a third-party, fifth-party, 12th-party, 100th-party aspect of communication. Therefore, nobody really knows what it is they're actually doing and who they're doing it for. So the British decided through the British East India Company and their dealings with Japan, once they find out that the ruling elite of Japan of the finance section specifically were Jewish, they began to create relationships with other so-called Jewish, who were non-Ashkenazim Jewish relationships with those families in those places like Iran, like those that show the Shah of the Sunset. All of those guys are Jews. All of those quote-unquote Persians or Iranians are actually Jews, which all descend, a lot of them descend from the Shah and these people. But a lot of those Jews or Khazarian Jews were implants that were put in there by the United States and the British intelligence during the between the years of 1950 and 1963. in which the United States and British worked to get rid of the Shah and then put him back in and get rid of him again, and then lay the groundwork for Ahmadinejad and the rest of these niggas in there now. Because all of them are part of the Muslim Brotherhood. Because the Muslim Brotherhood, again, has Nazi affiliations due to the Grand Mufti, who was the European Ashkenazi Jew implant in what was then Iraq. And he was brought to Germany to build with Hitler, and then he became a part of that. And then that's, again, fostering this whole idea of this master, let's say, Arabic race of people blessed with by Allah, but use the power of the jinn to manipulate or take control of the reality. And some people were down with it, some people weren't down with it. Some people were down with it for a time and turned against it. You know what I'm saying? Some people found out about it and then was like, nah, we can't be with it, but then had to let it go down. Because the Muslim Brotherhood is in every society, so at certain grand world gatherings of Masons, you'll see these Muslims. And the thing is, they're all Khazarian Jews. And most of these guys are the guys that's running the Iranian government right now. So it's funny that Israel is the ones that's trying to get rid of them. Because what we don't understand here in America is that Iranians are Persians, and Persians are not considered Arabs. The same way Jews, or they don't want to consider Jews as white people. When we know, that's all the same thing. The juxtaposition of race and politics is now transcended to the point where they want to try to foster and get this dude, try to flip it with it, try to get Jeb Bush in at the last minute, but that's probably not going to happen. Because that would be too blatant and too open that the Jesuits is making a play for the throne. Because Jeb Bush is a consecrated Jesuit. So what we've gone over thus far is, number one, all wars are occult wars. All conflicts on certain levels are occult conflicts. But by occult, I'm not talking about Satanism. I'm talking about the unseen aspects of what is behind, or the true motivation between these two forces coming into vicinity. Two, these concepts and these conflicts have now reached a point in which they've trickled, let's say, down into the lives of our community, but we don't understand how much we are participating in this. Three, there is a level of denial within our community that is purposeful and is there to discourage a certain modicum of exchange that would come into contact with a plausible reason, and thereby guilty parties in the consequence. 4, we're at the stage where, on a subatomically, astronomically, things are linking up to create certain portals that will open up within us that allows us to breathe more deeply and exhale more deeply this reality as a occurrence. So imagine a world where you could be here, but then you could just be in Andromeda. Like, if shit just got too hectic, you could just be like, I'm out. And just go to Andromeda and just be there. That's the type of reality, or realities that have existed in these worlds, but have been so limited due to our limited perception of what we perceive God and the gods or goddesses to be, when it all really comes down to one true singularity that is always a black dot. Always. Couldn't be a white dot that created everything. Couldn't. Because white is the absence. You understand? So even when we speak of it, or when they speak of it as white power, they're speaking of a caste system that they have allowed themselves to the luxury of believing identifies them with a skin color. But white power, the white power that they're talking about is the gift that was given to them by their sons of the revolution, sons of liberty, forefathers or grandfathers, who were frontiersmen and bounty hunters and scalp hunters and all this shit back in the day that killed, maimed, and raped all of our ancestors to get it. So again, they just stopped killing people in Ireland. Maybe 20 years now, maybe. They just stopped bombing niggas over there. Some Irish people was not having it. Understand? And that was all between what? The Protestants and the Catholics. The Protestants being the members of the Anglican Church, the Church of London, right? And the Catholics being the native Ireland who fell under the jurisdiction of the Pope after the expulsion, after the snakes was chased out of Europe on St. Patty's Day, a.k.a. the Moors being chased out. But what they say, the pipes is calling, Danny boy. You know what I'm saying? Irish eyes are smiling like this to the point where, like I said, all of this is falling down because of the fact that really Ireland was the last country that was not with all of that Euro shit, all of that European Union shit. That's one of the main reasons why they could still almost have a running country now, is because the Ireland people vetoed adopting a currency officially like that. So because of that, you have an influx wherever the Chinese ain't, wherever the United States ain't really a big thing. That's where the Chinese is at, which is why you have, again, armed forces in the foothills of Nigeria going in right now. You have people in forces in Eritrea now invading Ethiopia right now. You know what I'm saying? You got the United States boys to try to get Syria, Libya, Uganda, and Somalia all at the same time right now. Because strategically, this is them trying to get in, because they can't mess with Pakistan openly like that right now. They use the fake throw out of Bin Laden, right? They try to do that, flashed him out real quick, right? They're about to do the movie on that to get everybody to believe that. But in the meantime, they already creating the commemorative nickels and all of that to get people to buy the story. So in that, they use him, come out, dump his body in the Atlantic Ocean like Megatron at the end of Transformers 1, and then create the whole justification now that in some way the Pakistan people was harboring the fugitive. When they the ones who trained the Afghans and the Pakistan people how to kill and shoot all these people during Charlie Wilson's war and Ronald Reagan's war during the 80s, when we was taught that the Russians was evil. We was taught that the Russians was horrible and the worst thing in the world you could be as a communist, you know. But then in the ghetto, there's a book you can get called Black Bolshevik, memoirs of a black communist. I forget the brother's name, came out, as well as books by Chairman O'Malley, you know, people who are into Mao Zedong and stuff like that. When you get into that whole aspect of it, that whole communist thing, a lot of that was fostered through KGB channels, through people like Frank Marshall Davis, one of the alleged father of Jay-Z, as the real father of Jay-Z, allegedly, as well as the benefactor of the so-called president, you know what I'm saying, who was also a panderer and a pimp, KGB asset, allegedly a double-agent CIA asset, and one of the pimp that took the pictures of this dude's moms that you see in certain sites on the internet, allegedly. Dunham, her name. So these players in this grand scheme, all of this is going down at the time that, again, Pan-Africanism is in its infancy in places like Uganda and Africa, where the CIA, again, needs to get as many original people out of the way as possible to carry on the thing. Because when the Belgians left, that's when CIA went up in it. And then certain countries were targeted to become basically bases. You know what I'm saying? Because they're following the old British model. And the British model, again, is to use things like masonry and things like that to perpetuate that. So blood sacrifice and ritual has to be participated in by everybody that's down with it. So when you have a situation where you have a black woman or women, because it ain't just one black woman they did this to, they do this to thousands of black women every year, where they rape the woman, kill the woman, torture the woman, burn a woman up, right? And then fake it, try to outsource it and fake it, and then get caught. That's just one claim out of many, but they can't admit to that, because if they admit to that, they would have to admit that part of the ritual in getting you in there is to get rid of you. That's one of the real secrets of the Army. That they don't not really tell you, the war masters, they're not really going to tell you that in the war college. But when you read the book of Lees, you know what I mean, Hagakure, going back to the 5th dynasty BC, Japan, it'll tell you that one of the mainstays of war that the war master creates is the cycle of death that creates his name in the afterlife. You hear what I'm saying? So the more people who join up and the more people who die in the name of whoever is the leader of who is leading something becomes just another brick in the memory or the edifice or the statue or whatever it is in the afterlife of whatever this person is trying to become. Because there is a realm where these entities that have fostered so much death and all of this have huge edifices and things like this erected to themselves. But nobody there to see them. You know what I'm saying? It's real. That's why Israel has to create a cycle of dependency in which it feels like it has to protect itself because it knows it can't trust the United States or Britain. You understand what I'm saying? Think about it. This is a country that's really just not really just the size of Manhattan, really. Maybe a little bigger with the outlying lands, but everything outside of its main city is really in dispute. So really it's not even really there. But think about it. This little place, these couple of Ashkenazim European Jews came in there and killed Arabs and these people for 6 days straight, 7 days straight, and then won the war. And then from that point on, the United Nations had to recognize them. The United Nations had to recognize them, and then once they got recognized, then it became part of the global society. And now here they are, and then thousands of Jews came in. But then people are saying that they're illegitimate, they're not real. So what do? They create a system called Operation Exodus, where they go into Ethiopia by night. They go, well, first the United States goes in and gives the so-called Muslims in the Ethiopian highlands guns. And once they give them guns, they say go in there and kill these Jews, Ethiopian Jews, a couple of them. So they go do that, get more guns, get more food, and do that. This is the rise of the so-called warlord or militia system. that is now fostered through the nature preserve system that's already established by Prince Bernard and Prince Philip through the World Wildlife situation. So this creates a system in the African people, or those people who's trying to receive power, that the more original people they kill, the more quicker they'll come up. And now this becomes a thing due to tribal wars being exploited. And then over here, this plays out in us feeling like we have to get back to that place to help work out their problem. That somehow us going back to Africa would be somehow us becoming more whole, when these Africans is not even talking about slavery with us. They don't even pick us up when they get over here in a cab. You know what I'm saying? Keep it real, like this is real. So again, this creates the same cycle that I said that was fostered by the United States in the form of this Muslim Brotherhood that has now trickled down into things like black Muslim organization. So you have to be very leery. You gotta wonder where certain ideologies or whatever come from. You gotta know and follow the origin, the through point. What are the iron sights? What are the specific points that are being referenced in this that nostalgically put me in a different place that can be connected to something that actually happened? I'm talking about shit that actually happened. You can get any book, you can get any historian, he'll tell you all of that. But these things that actually happen all happen to stop us, specifically original people, black people, us, to not be who we naturally are. Because the industry created in that is created to perpetually keep us asleep and keep us adorning ourselves in false reality by allowing us to believe in ego-based systems that have nothing to do with the specific system of who and what we're here to naturally do as individuals before we can add on to a greater collective. So if some of us is on some spiritual shit and some of us ain't, that's cool. But when it comes to a unified mind, if I have a certain belief system in me, that means that I don't want to compromise. That means that there's going to be a certain point in the fight that I may not want to do what you, who may not have that same system, will do. And in that moment, it may appear like I'm not working with you or I'm somehow against you. You see what I'm saying? Which then again puts us at odds by then creating a fostered jealousy or rivalry situation that can then be exploited by these other people who now come and say, hey, I'll give you $50,000 if you get in here at this certain time. You seen Belly. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is what they do to maintain the society. We are under the disillusion that we are somehow can be at rest. Most of us are not sleeping because we're insomniacs. The insomnia has something to do with the autoreceptive aspect of the brain not being able to download melatonin in a natural way. How can you be a black person, an original person with melanin, and not be able to download melatonin in a proper way, in a natural way? You hear what they saying to you? You hear how they putting shit? Maybe we're just on a different cycle now, being the fact that we're on the magnetic pole shift cycle and not the old pole shift that they are now trying to recalibrate and get back on. Maybe. Yeah, we'll be tired and all of that. But a lot of times, if as dead tired as I be, if I didn't tell nobody, they wouldn't know. Same thing with Selena. So I know it's the same thing with y'all. Should be different calls. 347.
Hello?
Peace.
Yeah, peace. Peace to you and the family, Aseer.
What's up, King? How you doing,
What's
man?
up? I don't know if you got my email. I was telling you I was sitting down outside like last week before, a fucking drone flew over.
Yeah, son, I read that, man.
Yeah, that shit sounded like a toy plane on steroids. So when I looked up, I was like, oh shit, what happened so fast? I couldn't take a picture.
Where you located at?
I'm in the Bronx.
See what
On
I'm
the
saying?
concourse.
You understand what I'm saying? They flying drones over their own territory, man. What kind of shit is that? You know, do that for people that's supposed to be with it.
That dude just got arrested.
Which one?
The one who made the Cooney video?
Yeah, the black dude?
No, the white dude.
Oh, the white dude? They arrested him?
Yeah, in California, exercising naked on the street.
Wait. Exercising like he was demonstrating?
Butt naked.
Exercising like he was exercising like he was demonstrating, or exercising like he was
exercising like he was bugging out.
Well, they hit that nigga with the ooh-wee.
Yeah. But the interesting thing, right? This supposed to be going on for 20 years, right? The government couldn't find him. You have different factions of, like, government looking for this dude. This white dude just go in the jungle and find him and make a video.
Yeah, dude. They said that I was watching the thing on TV. They had them on TV where they were looking at, where they showed the video to the Ugandan people for the first time, and they was like, yo, well, when did all of this happen?
Yeah,
I
seen that.
Cool for us. Since like 2006, shit been okay. Like, what's going on? I just spoke to my homie. He just got back from Uganda. He was like, shit was cool when I was out there. So I'm like, okay, well, this dude is obviously trying to get some money. You know what I'm saying?
Well, he got it now.
Yeah, but you know what he is? He's the new Victor Assange.
Yeah.
Victor Assange was the dude from the whole WikiLeaks thing who was the old or the new version of the white Freemason dude who blew up that Netherlands spot. Remember that dude?
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, what happened to that? That was all about the money.
Yep.
You know? So, yeah, man, it's all, you know, coming to a head for them, but that's why it's better for us. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, the next thing the other day, right? Just like, I was like, let me see something. I went and Googled melatonin juice because I heard somebody saying something about melatonin water. So I Googled melatonin juice. There's about 20 different companies selling melatonin. Where they getting this melatonin from?
Oh, you know where they're getting it from.
Yeah, I know what I'm saying. It's crazy.
You know where they're getting it from? Oh, yeah. But again, Jesse Jackson ain't talking about that. Sharp ain't talking about that.
Yeah.
He ain't talking about that because that would require an investigation.
The guy who knew, he knew where to point where the shot come from in the daytime when there's no muzzle flash. But hey, nobody asks questions.
Oh yeah, dude. Like they all in on it, man. That whole Whitney Houston thing. Look at what they done to Bobby Christina with all of that. They done now got this chick marrying her brother. She marrying her adopted brother.
Yeah, supposedly they was supposed to be selling a sex tape to World Star, but World Star turned it down.
Yeah, because it's sad that they're putting her, they got her in that position. But again, this is the life, unfortunately, that she was born into. Look what they've done to all of them.
Yeah.
So imagine what they're doing to the regular black kids that they don't even know. Imagine what's happening to Charlize Theron, the black kid that she didn't get, the black kid she chose not to adopt. Because, you know, they go into places like puppy mills. They'll go in and be like, okay, he's nice. He's too dark. He's brown.
Yeah.
Okay, great. He's African enough, you know? Yeah.
Man,
meanwhile,
it's just crazy.
me and Selena go to adopt a baby from Haiti, and they tell us we don't make enough money.
Yeah. Oh, talking about that, they just sent home 3 UN soldiers for sexually abusing a 14-year-old boy. Now, this been going on for the longest. Them sleeping with little girls and the woman them for a bag of rice, but all of a sudden they molested a little boy, so they send them home.
Oh, yeah, man. This is the new thing. What about the millions? You know that they have been since 1991, when the first Gulf War started. Because, see, remember back in the days when we was in school, it wasn't called the Gulf. It was called the Persian Gulf.
Yeah.
Remember that? It was called the Persian Gulf. Then they started trying to call it the Arab Gulf. Then they started just calling it the Gulf. Then it was just the Gulf War. So the Gulf, right, is also what I was saying in the Bible when they talk about the Gulf, which is the place where they try to trap souls in it.
Yeah.
It's a well. It's like an oil well that they are trying to siphon the souls of humanity through in the form of this excess of the extraction of this black gold. So all of these blood sacrifices that they're doing with these soldiers, you know, they get at least 2,000 bodies home a day.
Yeah, I know.
A day. And they done already pulled out of Iran.
My sister was in the first one, and she's not really crazy. Well, she's not the same.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't fuck with her. She ain't the same.
Right. Exactly. How could you?
And that's my sister. I love her with all my heart, but I don't know. It's something different.
Love ain't got nothing to do with reality. Reality is they've created a twin. They've twinned her into an alternate reality like they've done to all of the vets. And part of the reality that they're doing this for is to glorify their name in the afterlife so that way you literally become a brick for them in the edifice that they're building for themselves in the form of their ego. And so those people who worship and have these people, you know, give their life and all of this for these people are just pawns to them that make themselves believe that they're fighting for a greater cause, but you know what's really going on.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore nobody is really innocent or naive in what it is they're dealing with. Unless you in there on some spooky stuff by the door shit, trying to learn shit for your people, come out and actually do some shit with it, then, you know, you're kind of just in. You don't know what they're trying to. You don't know what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? You don't know what they're doing when you're sleeping. You don't know what they put through the vents at night. You don't know what they're putting in that meat patty they give you.
Exactly.
They can do anything.
Yeah.
You know? So, if you allow them. But again, once you're there, you don't have a choice.
Exactly.
Well, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, thank you for the call, brother.
You're welcome, man. And keep up the good work. And peace to you and the family.
You as well, fam.
All right.
Peace.
Peace.
Hold on a minute. Hold on. Hello? Hello?
Peace. You're on 43434?
Peace. This is Queen. Sorry, I hope you didn't hear a lot of noise in the background.
No, I just got on. How you doing?
Okay. All right, thank you. I was telling my mother good night. Peace to you, Selena, the baby, and Super Heru supporters.
Thank you.
How
you doing?
I got caught off guard. I missed the very first 8 minutes of the show. I wasn't sure if you had talked about the Trayvon Martin case.
Oh, yeah, man. No, we didn't get into that yet, but you can keep on it.
All right. But I wanted to ask you if you could listen to, I had a dream the other night concerning my king who is currently in the belly of the beast, but I wanted to just ask your insight or if you see anything in the dream. It's not long, so I won't take up a lot of time. Okay. There is no day that I think it was maybe Tuesday or Wednesday. Nothing particular going on that week night that I can recall having my thoughts focused in this area. But in the dream, it was like my family had a celebration. And I don't know, it had to be summer because it was short sleeves and, you know, summer clothing. It was a cookout. Somebody had the American flag there. I don't know why. But he was home, and I was not yet prepared for him to be home. And it's weird because we don't have a definitive release date yet. I just know I felt like I was unprepared as far as, you know, the house wasn't totally the way I wanted to look, but that was it. he was there. It felt real. And I asked him the next morning, I said, how did you sleep? How did you rest? He said he didn't rest well at all.
Mm-hmm.
I, on the other hand, was very well rested because I felt like I was actually there. I just wanted to know if,
well, you not being prepared, or you not feeling that the house was together, was you feeling like maybe if you had certain documents or whatever in place that you could have maybe stopped the situation from escalating to the point where they tried to abduct him. But the aspect of him not sleeping is the correlation of your relationship together. Did this happen recently that he was locked up?
No. He's been on lock for a little while, yeah, about 7 miles.
Okay, so essentially you're also at a point where, are they talking about a date for him to come out, or they, you know what I'm saying?
No. Mm-mm.
Not at all.
We are prepping to get into that whole battle.
Right. That's
the next level, but we haven't getting the fund. You know, it takes money. However, about 3 weeks ago, we did reach a new level in our relationship.
That's peace.
Yeah, but
really
this part of actually getting into the legal aspect, we are working towards.
Mm-hmm.
But this dream, I don't know, the dream just came, and I was like, I don't know, it's just weird.
No,
I felt good. I
more,
woke up feeling good. It wasn't any unrest on my end.
That's what I'm saying. I think it's more of a transference of you kind of coming to terms with what maybe you can do and what you couldn't do, you know, because the house always represents the body or you. And the different people in your dream are not necessarily like another person. It's always you, because only you can really be in your dream. You know what I'm saying? The technology and stuff that they say that they got and they can do, that stuff is only as good as much as you don't know yourself. You know what I'm saying? So long as you can tell your thoughts from maybe the thoughts that you thinking from somebody else, you good. So I think the well-rested part is probably you letting go of that part that maybe felt that you could have done something more, you know, or something more could have been done. So in a way, that's actually good for you, you know what I mean, as well as him, because you're coming more to terms with the battle ahead of you, which is what you need to do, you know.
Okay. All right. New levels, new devils. And I called tonight. I wasn't sure if the show was going to be on. But I was like, okay, the show cannot stop, whether it's blog talk, Aseer talk, whatever. The show has to go on.
That's what's up. We're going to make that
happen. I felt and heard, I know I sent this to you in an email, but I want to tell everyone else that's listening. This brother and sister had to be looking for water because y'all was on fire. I mean, you always sit in the fire, but it was, I don't know, it was something about last week when you was putting it out. I was like, yes.
Well, I think it's also a collective frustration of everybody, you know what I mean? Because it's something to all of us. It's relative to me, to you, to everybody that's listening, to always have to deal with these idiots, you know what I mean? These three stooges or whoever it is that's on the boards with this thing, always messing it up. Whereas, again, you know what I mean? Other situations is not like that. So, again, I'm just thankful that it's working now. That you're here, and I can hear you, and, you know, we can support each other.
Thank you. Thank y'all for everything that you are doing and will be doing.
Thank you, Queen. I appreciate it, and love to you and your king, man.
Okay, thank you so much.
You as well.
Peace.
Peace.
Thank you for the insight.
No doubt. Thank you for calling. Peace.
Okay. Peace.
Peace. 469. Mr. Heru Radio.
Hey, what's up, bro?
Hey, what's up, King?
Not much. I'm doing well. Yeah, my name is Demetrius. I'm out of Dallas.
Peace, brother. Peace, brother Demetrius. How are you? What's up, Dallas?
I'm doing well. Situation on my front over here. Well, first of all, I'd like to say thank you, and thank you to your queen as well. I'm out here working out, so I might sound winded.
What's up?
Trying to get this health thing right for myself, but
it is. I'm sure you get it in when you can. That's what it is.
Yeah. My queen situation here is my queen. She has ovarian cancer.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
And yeah, so the doctors, over there in the slaughter camp, been, giving her steroids and, keep her coming back for more, but never really find a solution on curing it. It seemed like she's having more and more problems. Now she's coming down with rheumatoid arthritis, high blood pressure, and everything else. And I got her a couple of books, Queen of Fire and Layla Africa. And I've been trying to implement, B17, flaxseed oil, coconut water, and things like that into her diet to sort of help out a little bit more. What I was calling about was, do you know of anything else natural that maybe I can give her to help out on any one of those particular situations,
Does she do anything? Did she used to do anything creative when she was younger?
Yeah, she wrote a lot.
She wrote?
Poetry and things like that.
Has she done that recently?
No, she haven't.
Okay, tell her to start writing poetry or writing about whatever it is. But tell her to start really doing that, because the more she writes, the more she'll heal herself. Because the ovaries are representations of creativity. You know what I'm saying? Or a lack of inspired creativity or the ability to create. So there's a level of hers that might be so out of sorts with it that she is not pushing through it, which is causing the blockage, which is creating a situation where now she has to go to the system and they give her more stuff to accentuate it as opposed to dealing with what's really going on. So if she could eat more guava and papaya and okra.
She loves that. But you on point, because that's what she makes the mix. She makes Moscato with the guava and them particular fruits. And by me I read a lot, so and I'm real cognitive of situations, and I can make a simple thing like a bird eating grain or something seem like it's more mystical, and that's the thing she said she liked about me, and the ability for me to be as creative, and it helps her out with her depression, so you on point with that one.
Yeah, because those are womb fruits. Those are fruits that accentuate the womb of the woman. Any fruit that's shaped like the vagina is there to enhance the power of the vagina. Any fruit that's shaped like the penis is there to help accentuate the energy of the penis. So it's not just the actual penis or vagina. It's what those also represent spiritually, So if she's been giving her creative outlet to other entities and not herself, they may be a part of herself, depression-wise, that may be resenting that and may not understand that. So if she can create a system where she is producing something that will let her feel better about herself, she'll get better. You know what I'm saying? These types of fruits. Also avocado and vitamin D.
Vitamin D?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna tell you, you're on point because she's been real depressed because she haven't had the energies because she does the paralegal work, and yet she had a business on the side selling things, producing.
Yeah.
Now she can't do that.
Yeah.
She can't facilitate that.
Right, and that's probably what it is. She got so caught up in the legality of making money from people and then getting money to sustain that. The more she started being there, the more that energy of that place started to rub off on her in a negative. And so she, again, didn't have that creative outlet to balance. And so she became more susceptible to the point where her body made it so she had to quit. So I'm not saying she gave herself cancer, of course. I'm just saying that the situations occurs in our lives that sometimes doesn't put us in a position to see how we are not paying attention to ourselves.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah, essentially another. My fault, God. Another thing, which was crazy about this, well, okay, I'll tell her to do those. One more thing before I forget. Is I don't know if I'm quoting you correct. I'm probably not quoting you correct at all, but you mentioned about how in Philadelphia and spots like that, in one of your earlier documentaries, that they will put up retaining walls when they dig out in order to hide the artifacts that they find.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think I was watching Queen Valerie Bay or something, and she was talking about how, they have like an underground city like in Philadelphia,
Yeah, they got a couple of them. There's a couple of them right now.
Yeah, ancient cities, not just the government installations, right?
Yeah, like real, like there's stuff down there that they can't even go. There's sections that's outside of their radar, so they could look at everything up to this point, and then everything black, then it turned into stuff they could read against. So they be scared to go into them places because, they don't know what they're going to disturb. And then sometimes they build stuff where they building a wall and then another wall collapsed and it opened into a whole other section. And they're like, oh shit, what the hell is this? And then they get chased out of it. Like they done got chased out of it. They got blown out of it. They got nuclear bombed out of it. So they're going through situations now where they don't really have a place to go either. So they kind of like trying to figure out a whole other route to deal with. That's why I said we don't really have them so much to worry about. It's more so much about how we kind of structure what we were trying to do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we got to meet the challenge ourselves, for that, on the other side and whatnot. Like I said, I appreciate your work, bro. I'm going to let these other people chime in. And so let me get this right. Get on some papaya or any type of womb-shaped fruits and get back into her creativity,
Indeed.
And thank you.
And let
I appreciate all your help, bro.
Tell her to try new things, anything she was curious about.
I'm Sagittarius. I like to travel anyway,
See? That's what I'm saying. So maybe she can't write it per se. Maybe she'd be too weak, but then maybe she can have a story in her mind and dictate it, which then gives her the inspiration to eventually get up and write it. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of ways to help herself. You know what I mean? So let me know, man.
Yeah. I appreciate you, man. All right, thank you.
Peace.
Peace.
Peace. 904, Super Heru Radio.
Hey, what's up, God? How you doing?
Hey, I'm good, King. How you doing?
I'm good. Blessings to you, your queen, and best wishes to that previous caller's queen. And yeah, man, I've been peeping a lot of the current events and what's become the topic of discussions and through the XM radio and all that. And I can tell you, you guys are like, ahead of the game. on that Coney. You know, everybody. You know, I mean, you got guys coming out. You know, brothers. You know, 'cause I listen to the black stations. You know, and they basically mirroring your points, as well as a couple other brothers. You know that peep a G on that. But
man, keeping it real with me about that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, man. Make me wonder if they, if they be into to the metaphysical side of things. You know, maybe if people are just, being more in tune anyway. But they seem to be, some a movement afoot amongst our people. You know, they're starting to discuss a lot of things that they previously hadn't, such as what moves to make, and I really the methods of doing it is questionable, because I'm always leery of that leadership role that some guys happen to be in, because of obvious reasons, these agents and everything out here, but
exactly.
Yeah, I've been listening to this cat Alex Jones, somebody, on a social site. I've been up on him for years, and I hear other cats say, such as yourself, say he's a possible agent, which may be true, but the way that he formats his documentaries, a lot of it coming in line with a lot of what you say. It's just that they, from a historical aspect, that they may have, a more, be more, have more of a research type of capability.
They'll have the whole thing laid out, like a whole staff where they can just pull pictures and,
right,
and that's what they have.
Yeah,
but
like
again,
when they came.
Journalism, though. That's not research. That's more like advertising. But you're right.
Yeah, they push an agenda, too, and I'm leery of that too, going in on their causes when we were the ones to suffer from it for all these years, now all of a sudden, now that the beast is at their doorstep, they want to do something about it. But they went to things like, Francis Galton, the Genesis, Darwin's cousin, from Sanger, who somewhere in that line they had, had an affair with and all that up to this point. But I want to, I don't want to, get off on that too much because the G on that. But this thing about, I'm considering, I'm about ready to get my own truck, and pop my thing off, and I'm considering that different society, like maybe possibly going into ISIS, or something like that, and I know how, some people, people need money to function, and I ain't got no problem with that. I'll do what it takes, and do the work I got to do on my own to make sure it happens, but it's just so many, suspect avenues out here that a person can possibly take, especially when it comes to, getting your sovereignty on point. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, that is very, very treacherous. Unfortunately.
Oh yeah, because I don't want to get caught up in no, shenanigans, whatever you say that, shenanigans. You know what I'm saying? But I really do see a change, and hopefully it's for the better, because this insidious creature we got hovering over our head ain't playing, and this thing, I don't know if you talk about that pink slime and the beef and all that, and I mean it's crazy. Where's the FDA? You know what I'm saying? I mean, I remember.
All of that is paid for by the same people. So the idea is to destroy human genetics. So everything is kind of like being processed to be whacked. That's what the movie Soylent Green was about. But Charlton Heston back in the days, who was down with them. Same thing with Alex Jones. Like, Alex Jones was exposed by William Cooper in, like, 1999 or something, right before they killed him. But
right, I remember that.
Bless the dead, but it doesn't change the fact that he has a part to play. I mean, he's a Jesuit, essentially. He's also paid for by a group out of some Midwestern state. It's called Stratfor, and it's kind of like a double agent, you know, like Ventura, or like what's his name?
007.
Yeah, like, you know, on a fictional basis, but on a reality basis, anyone that they have that will, like, speak out against them, but then, like, work for them at the same time, those are the type of people, like Bono, you know what I mean? Like, you know, you're not down, you know, you're down for Africa and all of this other shit, but then you go to dinners with George Bush and these people that's paying for the exploitation and the rape of Africa, so you're not really down for that. So all of these people essentially are down with it. It's just what level of involvement are they into it. But whether they are or not, there's no relevance as opposed to what it is we're going to do for ourselves, you know. And when it comes to what we're really going to do to not only have a better, let's say, economic situation, because that's all they want us to focus on. They don't want us to focus on a good moral situation, a good spiritual situation, a good family situation. We got to focus on a good education situation. We got to focus on shit that depends on them. It has nothing to do with us. All it has to do with
right. They don't want us to focus. They don't want us to focus on anything homeopathic. You know, this.
But see, you can if you do it through them. You can do all that if you do it through them. If you're a black woman right now and you agree to put on 150 to 250 pounds, you can be on Glee. You can be on whatever. You could be on any one of these shows. If you're a black woman, you agree to play a prostitute, or you agree to your love interest to be a white man and then have to sleep with his friend or whatever in the same movie, you can do that. There's a place for you. But if you don't agree to that, you see what I'm saying, then it's going to be hard for you. Because what they need fame to be now is total human degradation, total human exploitation, total soul submission. So the more you're willing to debase yourself or make yourself look like you're not a human, you can win. But if you're trying to have some type of integrity and speak for real human beings, men and women and shit, then you have to do most of it yourself. Until you get to the point that you make so much bread by yourself that they want to come in and give you bread to keep everybody else from seeing that you could do it without them. That's the game. That's the whole reason why we still playing. Just in case we might cash out. You know what I'm saying? Keep it real. Like, keep it real. Like, just because you metaphysical don't believe that you can't play the lotto, don't mean that you can't have nice things and have some kind of financial affluence. If you think about it, that's what you're supposed to have when you like that. But see, when we were people like us, we've been here the longest.
That's
so
right.
Had it all.
These prosperity pimps doing it.
Yeah, but in the end they get revealed. And people who support them, they always wind up calling me and telling me, you know what I'm saying, what you revealed to me. And I appreciate that because it shows that other people are seeing what I'm seeing and what she's seeing, and that me holding my tongue and not being so reactionary to certain shit, you see what I'm saying, actually working because the people are seeing the earnestness in what I'm doing, because what I'm doing is not for, let's say, credit. However, don't try to act like, you know what I'm saying, I'm not here doing this. You know what I'm saying? That's all I'm saying. Like I was influenced. I came from a generation where you could say he was influenced by shit. I was influenced by Rakim. I was influenced by, you know what I mean, EPMD. I was influenced by, you know, the graffiti artists or whatever. I was influenced by the OG that was on the block that was doing his thing, but not influenced enough to go out and try to sell drugs like him. I knew that wasn't.
Or emulate him. Yeah.
You know what I mean? But stealing a coat, you know what I'm saying? And bumping out off on the ab is something totally different. Boosting a coat or some shit, that's different. To the point where I was able to actually parlay that into writing an article for the Source that became the premier article in history on, or the only one to this date that really got into the whole boosting culture that existed in that time. It's called Booster Shot.
Really? I didn't realize. I didn't know that.
I wrote that under the name Destiny in the Source magazine, I think in '94. You know, Latifah was on the cover. But it's called Booster Shot, and that was one of the biggest joints that was out. All of that.
Why you use a different moniker?
Oh, back then that was the name I used to rap under.
Oh, right.
So
right.
You know, it was kind of went along with that. But you know, I also wrote a couple of articles after that. One on freestyling and one on the drug culture that was coming into hip hop at the time. The shit I wrote called "3.0-Aseer" about how, you know, mushrooms and shit started coming in to certain artists back in the days that wasn't really popping in the hood. Like, niggas ain't really know about mushrooms until Curious George and Beat Nuts and certain artists came out. Not saying that they promoted that, but they opened us up to that. Like Cypress Hill with the weed. Like, it seemed like after Cypress Hill, everybody was smoking weed. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was the thing in hip-hop after that. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm trying to say. Like, go ahead.
And now what you got, all these exotic weeds and stuff, ain't no telling where they come from. I don't do it myself, but I know it is dangerous these days.
Look at that. Some of that, you know what I'm saying? You got to really watch what you're doing, and you can't really be in this. Because you see, black people do drugs and stuff for different reasons. Black people be trying to escape. White people be trying to go to oblivion. They be trying to be dead. They try to kill themselves. You understand what I'm saying? They go to the
you ain't lying.
They do that, and that shows that there's a difference. Because again, we have a hypothalamus that still works in us. So there's a certain emotional attachment that we have, not only to the body but to creation. They don't have that because they shit shut down at 8 years old, and they're not telling nobody that. And because of that, they trying to make everybody think that physiology is the same, and then they misdiagnosing black people who actually have active hypothalamuses, have active pineal organs, have active pituitary organs that work succinctly as a child, and then they try to give you drugs that they would give somebody who don't have an active one. And this is the thing that we accept as black people because we don't want to cause a fuss. We don't want to have ACS come. We don't want to have that. ACS wasn't going up to, what's her name? Crib, Miley Cyrus' crib, when she was doing salvia and all that other shit. They wasn't arresting her parents. She was 17. She was 16. You know what I'm saying? On all these drugs. Mary-Kate and Ashley overdosing at 16 in NYU, college. All these people winding up dead around these girls. Nobody's questioning that because they can do that. But let you be a nigga married to a woman and white woman wind up dead.
Yeah.
They got a pair of gloves for you. You know what I'm saying?
You gonna be the man.
You gonna be the man of the hour. Wow. Because you could kill a white woman. Because that's the whole thing. In their society, they sacrifice white women more than anybody else. Don't let them fool you. Don't let them fool you. They kill niggas and all of that. They sacrifice niggas and all that. But the one that they do it the most to, that white girl.
Yeah, they found one of them in the tub over there in Europe that made that movie you was telling me about, I think it was.
Yeah, man, they made a movie. These white girls, they have them on some whole other, don't believe me? Look at the movie Hostel. Look at, there's a price right now. If you got 20 G's, if you got 10 G's, you could go to Israel and buy you one from Russia or anywhere else in the world. A white girl, come back over here and take passport, everything, right now. You know who making money off of that? CIA. Mossad. You know what I'm saying? The same niggas that's out here locking everybody up is the same one making money off the human trafficking and all of that. How you think they even know where all these people is being sold at? How they know? Who telling them?
They got to get their cut.
They That's what I'm saying.
Ain't nothing going down. Let's take that.
That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. All I'm saying is that everybody's getting paid. That's what they do. That's how they run a society, and we should stop being so morally offended and so higher than thou thinking that they somehow supposed to be right, that they need to get their shit together. They're not going to do that. They're never going to do that. They're never going to be happy. They're never going to be at peace with anything or anyone. Never going to do it.
And also, we shouldn't be so quick to jump to their causes.
Yeah, we shouldn't be so quick to try to get them to be something that they not. That's at least I'd rather the cracker with the damn hood on and the damn flag. That's the one that's cool. The cracker that's whack is the banker nigga. That's the one that's whack. That's going to the secret coven. That's you know what I'm saying? Genetically manipulating the black woman, the white man, the white woman, the white man, everybody. This is the white people that's doing that. And then now they got these black flunkies. That's the ones that's blocking for them. So all I'm saying is let them do them. Let's get our shit together enough to not participate so much when we become so morally affected, and we just give our children to them. Because that's what they doing. They eating them. They doing all types of shit to these kids, man.
Yeah, I heard a sister bring that up on the radio the other day. I mean, just yesterday. But you got 2 minutes, bro. Much love to you. And I appreciate how you put it down. Hey, you hold it down, bro.
Thank you, fam, for the support, man. Yeah. Queen does as well. Peace. So thank you guys for coming through. If you guys are interested in our new class that we got coming up this Wednesday entitled Theocratic Jurisprudence, we have a flyer that we'll be putting out like we always do every month. We'll put it out for you and send it to you directly, as well as everybody that's been in our past classes. We'll send it out to you. Inshallah, you can join us. Thank you guys again for the support. Please check out www.aseertheducateers.com, as well as www.sagasan.com. And again, thank you for the participation in this dialogue that we were building up for. And again, man, this is the time for us to make our own decisions and decide what new world we're going to have for ourselves, and not this one that they're trying to push on everybody. Don't get caught up in what's happening in the Gulf, which again in the Bible is the well of souls that they trap their souls into, as well as the Gulf, which is the same thing, the well of souls that they trap the people up into over there. Blessings to those original people whose soldiers that's waking up in the Army, in the Navy, in the Air Force, in the Marines, in the police, and everywhere, that's starting to realize that you're conflicted and that there has to be something that you got to do for yourself to help better yourself and preserve the legacy of our people, man. Because it's up to all of us, the ones that's hating and the ones that's really relating. You know what I'm saying? So let's do it. Let's do it for real. Thank you again, all of our supporters and our contributors, and thank you again for the donations. That really, we really appreciate it, and the continued support. Every little bit helps. So, with that, thank you, and thank you, brother, for acknowledging the work that we've been putting into, and the fact that we have influence and continue to influence most of the people, or a lot of the people that's doing what it is they say we doing, which they not every day. And I feel like we can say that with the most humility, but with the most seriousness too. You know what I mean? So with that, peace, hotep, salam alaikum, Shabbat shalom, and be safe if you're going out. Peace.